The alarm bells rang through the massive space station, their deep tones echoing off the metal walls. Emergency lights flashed red across every corridor of Nexus Prime, the largest orbital station in the galaxy. Something big was happening. Council Leader Vextar moved quickly through the hallways, his crystal-like skin catching the light as he walked. His 6 arms worked busily, checking data tablets and sending messages to council members across the galaxy. In his 300 years of leading the Galactic Defense Council, he had never called an emergency session this urgent. The council chamber filled quickly. Representatives from 12 different species took their seats around the enormous circular table. Each delegate looked worried. Emergency sessions meant serious trouble for someone. Hive Queen Zephyra arrived first, her insect-like body clicking as she moved. Her compound eyes scanned the room, looking for threats that might not exist. Behind her came Admiral Morden, water dripping from his blue skin as he emerged from his transport tank. The aquatic being's gills fluttered nervously. General Kethvar stomped into the room, his heavy boots making loud sounds on the floor. The warrior's red skin was darker than usual, a sign he was angry or excited. Dr. Yelona floated in next, her energy form glowing softly as she took her place. Other council members followed, each bringing their own fears and questions. In the observer section, a human sat quietly. Kang De-ho wore a simple blue diplomatic uniform with a small badge that read, Earth Cultural Attaché. He looked ordinary compared to the other beings in the room. His black hair was neat, his brown eyes calm. Nothing about him suggested he was anything more than a peaceful diplomat from a new member world. Earth had joined the Galactic Alliance only 6 months ago. The human world was classified as a developing civilization that needed protection. The Council knew very little about humans except what Earth's diplomats had told them. Humans grew food, made art, and lived simple lives on their blue-green planet. They seemed harmless. De-ho adjusted his tablet and prepared to take notes. As Earth's cultural attaché, his job was to learn about galactic society and report back to his government. He attended many council meetings, always sitting quietly in the back. Most council members had never spoken to him. Vextar called the meeting to order. His voice carried clearly through the chamber's speakers, translated into dozens of languages. Automatically, council members, we face a crisis unlike any in our recorded history, Vextar began. 3 days ago, our intelligence networks intercepted disturbing footage from the Outer Rim territories. What we discovered has shaken our understanding of galactic security. The lights dimmed, and a large holographic display activated above the council table. Grainy footage began to play, showing the inside of what looked like a pirate ship. The image quality was poor, clearly recorded by security cameras not meant for combat documentation. This footage comes from various pirate vessels operating in the disputed sectors, Vextar continued. These ships were attacking merchant vessels and civilian transports. Then something happened that none of our military experts can explain. The footage showed armed pirates moving through their ship's corridors. They carried standard plasma rifles and wore basic armor. Suddenly, the ship shook violently. Explosions echoed through the metal halls. The pirates looked confused and scared. Then the unknown attackers appeared. The figures moving through the ship were unlike anything the Council had seen before. They wore black armor that seemed to absorb light. Their faces were hidden behind helmets with glowing eyepieces. They moved with perfect coordination, like they could read each other's minds. But it was how they fought that made the council members lean forward in their seats. One attacker jumped impossible distances, landing behind a group of pirates before they could turn around. Another moved so fast that the camera could barely track him. A third seemed to predict where enemy fire would come from, dodging plasma bolts that should have been impossible to avoid. The pirates' weapons, which could punch through standard military armor, barely seemed to scratch the attackers' black suits. When plasma bolts did hit, the mysterious warriors kept fighting as if nothing had happened. Admiral Mordun's gills fluttered faster. What species could survive direct plasma hits like that? The footage continued. One warrior grabbed a pirate's rifle and crushed it with bare hands. The metal bent like soft clay. Another kicked through a steel bulkhead, creating an opening where none had existed before. The sounds coming through the audio were unlike anything in galactic military databases. Battle cries in an unknown language, weapons that made strange noises and explosions from devices no one recognized. Most disturbing of all was what the attackers did to the pirates who surrendered. Instead of killing them, they quickly secured the prisoners with some kind of binding device. They moved wounded pirates to safe areas and provided medical aid. These were not mindless killers, but disciplined soldiers following rules of war. That seemed strangely merciful. Hive Queen Zephyra spoke first. The physical capabilities we are seeing should not be possible. My species' warriors are among the strongest in the galaxy, but even we cannot bend steel with our bare hands. Doctor. Yelona's energy form pulsed brighter. I am detecting battle techniques that do not match any known military doctrine. These beings fight as if they enjoy it, yet they show remarkable restraint with prisoners. General Kethvar slammed his fist on the table. Restraint or not, these warriors destroyed an entire pirate fleet in less than 6 hours. Look at the damage patterns. They used weapons we cannot identify and tactics we do not understand. If they can do this to pirates, what could they do to our worlds? The footage showed the final moments of the battle. The mysterious warriors had taken control of the pirate ship. Instead of destroying it, they were systematically shutting down its weapons and engines. Several warriors could be seen helping injured pirates, regardless of species. One warrior even carried an unconscious enemy to what looked like a medical. Bay Counselor Threshamok, a thin being with gray skin, raised one of his 4 arms. Has anyone considered that these might be our potential allies? They only attacked pirates and raiders. Perhaps they are a force for justice in the outer territories. Vextar nodded slowly. That possibility has been discussed. However, we have 17 similar incidents recorded over the past month. Each time, pirate operations are completely eliminated by these unknown warriors. Ships that should be impossible to board are taken with ease. Weapons that should be effective prove useless against them. The holographic display changed to show a star map. Red dots marked locations where similar attacks had occurred. The pattern covered 3 entire sectors of space. We are dealing with a military force that operates across vast distances with perfect coordination, Vextar explained. They appear when pirates attack civilians, eliminate the threat completely, then vanish without a trace. No government has claimed responsibility for these actions. In the observer section, Deho kept his expression neutral while taking careful notes. He recognized everything he was seeing. The unknown warriors were human soldiers, specifically Earth's elite Void Rangers. The black armor was standard, issue for deep space operations. The impossible physical feats were normal for humans wearing powered combat suits. The weapons the Council could not identify were human designs, built for fighting in environments where galactic species could not survive. The battle cries were in Korean, his own language. The warrior who had bent the steel rifle was probably using basic strength enhancement technology that every human soldier carried. Most concerning for Deho was the location of these battles. The red dots on the star map marked human colonies in the disputed sectors, colonies that Earth had not yet revealed to the Galactic Council. Earth's expansion into those regions was supposed to be secret until the colonies were fully established. Deho realized that Earth's carefully planned first contact strategy was about to collapse. The Council was analyzing footage of human military operations without knowing they were watching their newest member species in action. Vextar continued speaking. We must decide how to respond to this situation. Do we attempt to make contact with these warriors? Do we try to determine if they represent a threat to galactic security? Or do we prepare defensive measures in case they decide to expand their operations beyond pirate hunting? The council began to debate loudly. Some members wanted to send diplomatic missions. Others suggested military reconnaissance. A few recommended immediate defensive preparations. Deho sat quietly, knowing that whatever the council decided, humanity's secret would not remain hidden much longer. The galaxy was about to learn that their peaceful new member species was capable of military action that terrified some of the most powerful civilizations in known space. The emergency session was just the beginning. The council chamber buzzed with nervous energy as the lights came back on. The footage had ended, but the questions it raised filled the air like smoke. Council members whispered to each other in their native languages, while data analysts rushed around the room carrying tablets full of information. Dr. Yelona floated higher above her seat, her energy form pulsing with excitement. I need to examine every frame of that footage. The physical capabilities we witnessed defy everything we know about biological limitations. General Kethvar stood up, his red skin now almost glowing with intensity. Capabilities aside, we need to focus on tactics. Those warriors moved like they had fought together for decades. Perfect coordination, no wasted movements, complete trust in each other. That kind of unit cohesion takes years to develop. Admiral, Morden's water tank gurgled as he adjusted his position. What concerns me more is their technology. Those weapons produced energy signatures I have never seen before. My technical staff cannot even guess how they function. Vextar called for order, his crystalline hands catching the chamber's lights. Dr. Yelona, please share your preliminary analysis with the council. The energy being's form brightened as she began speaking. I have run the footage through every biological database in our archives. The warriors appear to be bipedal humanoids, roughly 2 meters tall. However, their physical performance suggests bone density and muscle efficiency far beyond any known species. She gestured, and holographic displays appeared around the room, showing freeze-frame images from the battles. Watch this warrior jump between ship levels. The distance covered requires leg strength at least 5 times greater than the galactic average, yet the landing appears effortless, with no sign of strain or injury. Another image showed a warrior punching through a metal wall. The force required for this action would break the bones of most species. This individual shows no hesitation, suggesting their skeletal structure can handle impacts that would cripple our strongest fighters. Hive Queen Zephyra clicked her mandibles thoughtfully. My warrior castes possess enhanced physical abilities through genetic modification. Even they could not perform these feats without severe injury. What we are seeing suggests either advanced cybernetic enhancement or a species that evolved under extreme conditions. Counselor Threshmock leaned forward on his thin arms. Perhaps they come from a high-gravity world? That would explain the enhanced strength and bone density. Dr. Yelona's form flickered as she processed this suggestion. Possible, but high-gravity evolution typically produces shorter, stockier builds. These warriors move with the grace of low-gravity species while possessing the strength of heavy world inhabitants. It is a combination that should not exist naturally. General Kethvar pulled up tactical analyses on his personal display. Natural or not, look at their combat doctrine. They enter through multiple breach points simultaneously, use overwhelming, force to shock defenders, then switch to precision operations for prisoner control. This is not random violence. These are professional soldiers executing complex battle plans. The holographic displays changed to show movement patterns from the pirate ship battles. Colored lines traced the paths taken by different warriors, creating a web of coordinated action that impressed even the most experienced military minds in the chamber. Each warrior knew exactly where the others would be at every moment, General Kethvar continued. They provided covering fire without communication we could detect. They shared ammunition and equipment without verbal coordination. Either they possess natural telepathic abilities, or their training is beyond anything in our military academies. Admiral Morden studied the weapon signatures on his tablet. Their equipment raises equally disturbing questions. These energy readings do not match any technology in our databases. The weapons appear to be variations of standard galactic designs, but modified in ways that should not be possible. Dr. Yilona brought up detailed scans of the mysterious weapons. I am detecting power sources that produce 3 times the energy output of comparable devices. The materials used in construction include elements that should not be stable outside of laboratory conditions. Yet these weapons function perfectly in combat environments. Vextar's 6 arms moved as he examined different data streams. Dr. Yilona, in your professional opinion, how long would it take an unknown species to develop this level of technology? The energy being pulsed slowly as she considered the question. If they started with basic galactic technology as a foundation, perhaps 50 to 70 years. However, that assumes they possessed industrial capacity equivalent to major galactic civilizations. The modifications we see require deep understanding of physics and engineering principles. Counselor Thresmock raised an arm. Could they have acquired this technology through conquest? Perhaps they defeated an advanced civilization and took their equipment? General Kethvar shook his head firmly. Conquered technology does not explain their tactical capabilities. You cannot steal decades of military training and unit cohesion. These warriors learn to fight together through extensive practice and shared experience. Hive Queen Zephra's compound eyes focused on the weapon displays. There is another possibility we have not discussed. What if they did not acquire galactic technology at all? What if they developed parallel solutions independently? The chamber fell silent as council members considered this suggestion. Independent technological development was rare in the galaxy. Most species discovered faster-than-light travel by finding abandoned equipment or making contact with existing civilizations. Dr. Yilona's form dimmed slightly. Independent development would explain the unfamiliar energy signatures and construction methods. It would also suggest a species with exceptional scientific capabilities. Admiral Mordoon's gills fluttered nervously. Exceptional and isolated. A species that develops advanced military technology without galactic contact might view other civilizations as threats to be eliminated. Across the chamber in the observer section, Kang De-ho continued taking notes while listening to the discussion. Every conclusion the council reached was wrong, but in ways that made humans seem more dangerous than they actually were. The warriors in the footage were not cybernetically enhanced super soldiers. They were normal humans wearing standard combat equipment. The impossible physical feats came from powered armor that every human soldier used. The advanced weapons were human designs, built by human engineers who had never seen galactic technology until 6 months ago. Most importantly, the tactical coordination came from human military doctrine developed through centuries of warfare on Earth. Humans had been fighting organized battles long before they knew other species existed. The Council was seeing the result of military evolution driven by necessity, not genetic superiority or advanced technology. De-ho knew that Earth's diplomatic team had worked hard to present humans as a peaceful species. They had shown the Council images of farms, cities, and cultural centers. They had emphasized human art, literature, and philosophy. They had carefully avoided mentioning Earth's military history or current defense capabilities. Now the Council was analyzing human military operations without realizing it. Every assumption they made painted humans as a more dangerous and mysterious threat than reality justified. On his secure tablet, hidden beneath his note-taking, De-ho composed a priority message to Li Su-jin at Earth's embassy. The Council was moving toward treating humans as an unknown hostile species. Something needed to be done before their careful diplomatic work collapsed completely. Vextar called for attention again. Based on our analysis, I believe we face 3 possible scenarios. First, these warriors represent a new galactic power seeking to establish territory through force. Second, they are mercenaries working for an unknown employer. Third, they are the military arm of an existing civilization that has concealed its true capabilities. General Cathvar stood and activated a tactical display. Regardless of their origin, we must assume they represent a potential threat to galactic security. I recommend immediate intelligence gathering operations to identify their home base and assess their full military strength. Hive Queen Zephyra clicked her agreement. My scouts can begin reconnaissance missions in the affected sectors. If these warriors have a central command structure, we will find it. Admiral Morden nodded slowly. My deep space monitoring stations will watch for unusual energy signatures. Their ships must leave some trace we can follow. Dr. Yelona's form brightened with scientific curiosity. I would like to examine any equipment or biological samples we can recover. Understanding their physiology and technology could provide crucial intelligence. Counselor Threshmock raised a thin arm. Should we not attempt diplomatic contact first? If they only attack pirates and raiders, they may be willing to negotiate peaceful relations. The suggestion created immediate debate. Some council members supported diplomatic outreach, while others argued for military preparation. The discussion grew heated as different species voiced their concerns and strategies. Deho realized that the Galactic Council was about to launch intelligence operations against human colonies. Reconnaissance missions would discover the truth about Earth's expansion into the disputed sectors. On the other side of the galaxy, far from the emergency council session, Park Min-ho sat in a metal chair cleaning his rifle. The weapon looked ordinary to him, just another piece of equipment that needed maintenance after a mission. He had no idea that galactic military experts were calling it impossible technology. The debriefing room aboard the human destroyer Soul's Pride was simple and functional. Gray walls, bright lights, and a table covered with mission reports. Park's team sat around the table, each working on their equipment while discussing their recent operations against the Crimson Tide pirates. Kim Jae-sung looked up from his armor diagnostics. The pirates' plasma rifles were weaker than intelligence reported. My suit barely registered the hits. Choi Young-nam laughed while checking his ammunition. Did you see how surprised they looked when their weapons did nothing? I almost felt bad for them. Han Bo-ram shook her head as she cleaned her helmet's display system. They had no idea how to board a ship properly. Came through one entrance, bunched up in the corridors, no covering fire. It was like fighting Academy cadets. Park nodded as he reassembled his rifle. The whole operation took 6 hours longer than it should have. We had to be careful not to damage their life support systems while they were shooting at us. The human soldiers discussed the battle with casual professionalism. What the Galactic Council saw as impossible feats, they saw as routine work. The pirates had been poorly trained, badly equipped, and completely unprepared for professional military action. Kim Jae-sung pulled up tactical displays on his tablet. Their ship layouts made no sense for defense. Wide corridors with no choke points, critical systems unprotected, and they kept their prisoners in the same section as their armory. Choi Young-nam finished his equipment check and leaned back in his chair. At least they surrendered when they realized they were beaten. Some pirate groups keep fighting until everyone is dead. Han Bo-ram looked at her mission notes. 17 prisoners, all in good condition. Medical team says they will recover completely from their injuries. The Altarian female had some plasma burns, but nothing serious. Park signed the final mission report and uploaded it to the ship's database. His after-action summary was brief and matter-of-fact. Enemy forces eliminated, objectives secured, no human casualties, prisoners treated according to military law. Just another successful operation against criminals who had been attacking civilian settlements. What Park did not mention in his report was how easy the mission had been. The Crimson Tide pirates used tactics that would have been outdated on Earth 50 years ago. Their weapons were effective against unarmored targets but completely useless against human military equipment. Their ships were designed for raiding defenseless merchants, not fighting soldiers who knew what they were doing. The door to the debriefing room opened and Captain Oh Dong-hyun entered. The Void Ranger commander looked tired but satisfied. His unit had completed 3 similar operations in the past week, all with the same results. Pirates eliminated, civilians protected, no human losses. Good work on the Crimson Tide operation, Captain O said as he sat down. Command is pleased with the results. However, we have received some interesting intelligence that affects future missions. Park looked up from his equipment. What kind of intelligence, sir? Captain O activated a holographic display that showed intercepted galactic communications. Our monitoring stations have detected increased chatter from Galactic Council military units. They are discussing reports of unknown warriors operating in this sector. Kim Jae-sung frowned. Unknown warriors? Are there other human units operating out here? No, Captain O replied. They are talking about us. Apparently someone recorded our operations and sent the footage to the Galactic Council. They do not know the warriors in the recordings are human. The team exchanged glances. Earth's expansion into the disputed sectors was supposed to be secret until the colonies were fully established. If the Galactic Council discovered human settlements before Earth was ready to announce them, it could cause serious diplomatic problems. Choi Young-nam leaned forward. How did they get footage of our operations? Captain O changed the display to show technical analysis. Pirate ships record everything for insurance purposes. When we captured their vessels, we secured the prisoners and disabled the weapons, but we did not always destroy their data systems. Some ships transmitted their security footage before we could stop them. Hanbo Ram studied the intelligence reports. What are the council members saying about the footage? They are very concerned, Captain O replied. They believe they have discovered a new species of super warriors with advanced technology and impossible physical abilities. They are planning reconnaissance missions to find our base of operations. Park laughed despite the seriousness of the situation. Super warriors? We are just doing our jobs. Captain O nodded grimly. To them, our standard equipment looks like advanced alien technology. Our training appears to be superhuman coordination. Our physical capabilities seem impossible because they do not understand human biology or our combat suits. Kim Jae-sung looked at his rifle with new interest. This old thing is advanced alien technology? According to their analysis, yes, Captain O confirmed. They cannot understand how it produces the energy signatures they detected. They think the power source should be unstable outside laboratory conditions. Choi Young-nam examined his armor's power readings. What about our suits? Are they impressive too? Captain O smiled slightly. They believe you are either cybernetically enhanced super soldiers or members of a species that evolved under extreme conditions. The idea that you are normal humans, wearing standard equipment has not occurred to them. Han Boram shook her head in amazement. We have been fighting pirates who could barely handle civilian security forces. How does that make us super warriors? Because the galactic species do not fight the way humans do, Captain O explained. Most of them avoid physical combat whenever possible. They use automated systems, long-range weapons, and negotiation to resolve conflicts. The idea of soldiers, who enjoy close combat and take personal risks to protect others, is foreign to them. Park looked at the intelligence reports more carefully. Are we in danger of being discovered? Captain O's expression became serious. Possibly. The Council is planning to send reconnaissance teams to the sectors where we have been operating. They want to find our home base and assess our military strength. Kim Jae-sung frowned. Will they find the colonies? Eventually, yes, Captain O replied. Our settlements are not hidden from space-based sensors. When galactic scouts arrive, they will detect human life signs, industrial activity, and defensive installations. Choi Young-nam asked the question everyone was thinking. What happens when they realize the super warriors are actually humans? Captain O was quiet for a moment before answering. That depends on how Earth's diplomatic team handles the situation. If the Council feels deceived or threatened, they might classify humanity as a hostile species. If they believe we were simply protecting ourselves, they might accept our expansion into these sectors. Han Boram looked at her equipment with new understanding. So our success in protecting the colonies might cause problems for Earth's government? Yes, Captain O confirmed. Earth wanted to establish our colonies quietly, then announce them when we were ready for diplomatic negotiations. Now the Council knows something is happening out here, and they are treating it as a potential threat to galactic security, your key. Finished cleaning his rifle and set it aside. What are our orders? Captain O stood up and walked to the tactical display. Continue operations as planned. Protect human settlements from pirate attacks. Capture rather than kill when possible. However, be aware that we may soon have galactic military units watching us. Kim Jae-sung asked, should we change our tactics? No, Captain O replied firmly. We fight the way humans fight. If the Council wants to understand who we are, they should see us at our best. Professional, disciplined, and effective. Choi, young Nam grinned. So we keep being super warriors? Captain O almost smiled. We keep being human soldiers doing our duty. If that makes us super warriors in their eyes, so be it. The debriefing ended with the team preparing for their next mission. They had no idea that their routine operations were causing panic in the highest levels of galactic government. To them, they were simply protecting human civilians from criminal attacks. Meanwhile, thousands of light years away, the Galactic Council continued analyzing footage of their operations and reaching conclusions that made humans seem far more dangerous than they actually were. The disconnect between perception and reality was about to create the biggest diplomatic crisis in galactic history. The secure communication chamber deep inside Earth's embassy hummed with electronic activity. Lee Soo-jin sat at the central console, her face lit by multiple screens showing encrypted messages from across the galaxy. As Earth's senior diplomat, she had spent months carefully building relationships with galactic species. Now all that work was in danger. The priority message from Daeho had arrived 2 hours ago. The Galactic Council was treating human military operations as actions by an unknown hostile species. They were planning reconnaissance missions to find the super warriors and assess their threat level. Everything Earth's diplomatic team had worked for was about to collapse. Soo-jin activated her secure connection to Earth Command. The quantum communication system took several minutes to establish a stable link across interstellar distances. When the connection opened, Admiral Song Tae-wook appeared on her main screen. Admiral, we have a serious problem, Soo-jin began, without greeting formalities. The Council has footage of Void Ranger operations against pirates. They do not know the warriors in the recordings are human. Admiral Song's expression remained calm, but Soo-jin could see concern in his eyes. How much do they know? Everything and nothing, Soo-jin replied. They have detailed combat footage from multiple operations. They know about our weapons, our tactics, and our physical capabilities. But they think they are watching an unknown species of enhanced warriors. Admiral Song leaned back in his chair. What conclusions have they reached? Soo-jin pulled up her notes from Daeho's report. They believe humans are either cybernetically enhanced super soldiers or a species that evolved under extreme conditions. They think our technology is advanced alien science they cannot understand. They are treating us as a potential threat to galactic security. And our colonies in the disputed sectors? They will be discovered soon, Soo-jin confirmed. The Council is sending reconnaissance teams to find what they call the Warriors' home base. When they arrive, they will detect human settlements, industrial activity, and defensive installations. Admiral Song was quiet for several moments, considering the implications. Earth's expansion plan had been carefully designed to avoid exactly this situation. They wanted to establish colonies quietly, then reveal them during planned diplomatic negotiations. Now they faced the possibility of being discovered by military scouts who expected to find a hostile alien civilization. What is your assessment of Council intentions? Admiral Song asked. Soo-jin had been preparing for this question. Mixed reactions. Some members want to attempt diplomatic contact. Others are pushing for military preparation. General Kethvar, is advocating for immediate intelligence-gathering operations. If they feel threatened or deceived, they might classify humanity as a hostile species. Admiral Song activated his own tactical displays. Dr. Bei Su-jin has prepared psychological profiles of the major council species. Most of them avoid direct conflict and prefer negotiation. However, they also respond poorly to surprises and perceived deception. Su-jin nodded grimly, which is exactly what they will think happened when they discover the truth. We presented ourselves as a peaceful, agrarian species, then they find footage of our soldiers eliminating pirate fleets with apparent ease. Recommendations? Su-jin had been considering options since receiving Daeho's message. We need to control the revelation. Instead of waiting for them to discover our military capabilities, we should volunteer the information on our terms. Admiral Song leaned forward with interest. Explain. Daeho is attending the next council session tomorrow. He can request speaking privileges and reveal that Earth has information about the mysterious warriors. We position ourselves as helpful intermediaries rather than the warriors themselves. Admiral Song considered this approach. The Council will still realize we concealed our military capabilities during first contact. Yes, but we can frame it as defensive secrecy rather than hostile deception, Su-jin replied. We emphasize that humans only revealed their military capabilities when civilians were attacked. We were protecting our people while trying not to destabilize galactic politics. Admiral Song activated a secure connection to his staff. Dr. Bei, please join this conference. We need your psychological assessment of how different council species will react to controlled disclosure. Dr. Bei Su-jin appeared on a secondary screen. As Earth's leading xenopsychologist, she had studied galactic species for months, preparing for exactly this kind of diplomatic crisis. Admiral, Ambassador, I have been monitoring galactic communications about the council session. Dr. Bei began. The current situation is dangerous but manageable if we act quickly. Lee Su-jin pulled up psychological profiles on her screens. What are the key factors we need to consider? Dr. Bei activated her own displays, showing detailed analysis of major council species. The Altarians value honesty and direct communication. Council leader Vextar will be upset about the deception, but he will respect controlled disclosure more than continued secrecy. Admiral Song studied the profiles. What about the military representatives? General Kethvar and the warrior species will actually be impressed by human military capabilities, Dr. Bei explained. They respect strength and professional competence. The footage shows humans fighting according to honorable rules of war, which they will appreciate. Su-jin looked at the aquatic species data. Admiral Morden and the Oceanic Confederation? They are cautious and diplomatic, Dr. Bei replied. They will be concerned about military implications, but they prefer negotiation to conflict. If we can demonstrate that humans only fight defensively, they will support peaceful relations. Admiral Song focused on the most concerning profiles. Hive Queen Zephyra and the insectoid species? Dr. Bei's expression became serious. They are the biggest risk. Insectoid species think in terms of territorial expansion and resource competition. They might interpret human military capabilities as preparation for conquest. Lee Su-jin made notes about approaches for different species. How do we address their concerns? Emphasize human restraint and defensive purposes, Dr. Bei suggested. The footage shows our forces going to extraordinary lengths to minimize casualties and protect prisoners. That behavior is unusual in galactic warfare and demonstrates peaceful intentions. Admiral Song made his decision. Ambassador Su-jin authorized Daeho to request speaking privileges at tomorrow's council session. He will reveal that Earth possesses information about the mysterious warriors. Su-jin began preparing the necessary diplomatic protocols. What? About our colonies in the disputed sectors? We acknowledge their existence as defensive settlements established to protect human civilians from pirate attacks, Admiral Song replied. We were not trying to hide expansion, but rather avoiding destabilization of regional politics until formal negotiations could be arranged. Dr. Bay added tactical advice. Daeho should emphasize that every engagement shown in the footage was in response to attacks on civilian targets. Humans did not initiate hostilities. We responded to them. Sujin activated her communication link to Daeho at the council station. This approach will require careful timing and precise language. One mistake could make humans appear more threatening rather than less. Admiral Song nodded gravely. The alternative is waiting for council reconnaissance teams to discover our colonies and conclude that we have been planning military expansion while pretending to be peaceful farmers. Dr. Bay brought up additional psychological factors. There is one advantage we can use. Several council species have been frustrated by their inability to deal with pirate activity in the disputed sectors. If we present human military action as solving a problem they could not handle, some species might be grateful rather than threatened. Sujin composed her instructions to Daeho, encoding them with diplomatic protocols that would be meaningless to galactic intelligence services but clear to a trained human diplomat. He will need to be extremely careful. Too much information will make us appear deceptive. Too little will make us appear evasive. Admiral Song reviewed the final strategy. Controlled disclosure, emphasis on defensive purposes, demonstration of restraint and honor in warfare, and positioning as helpful problem solvers rather than potential threats. Correct, Sujin confirmed. If this works, we transform the crisis from mysterious super warriors threaten galaxy to new ally help solve pirate problem. Dr. Bay offered one final warning. This strategy assumes rational response from council members. If any species reacts with fear or aggression, the situation could escalate beyond diplomatic control. Admiral Song stood up, signaling the end of the conference. Then we had better make sure our first impression is the right one. Ambassador, coordinate with Daeho for tomorrow's session. Dr. Bay, prepare detailed briefings on likely council reactions. And begin preparing our military commanders for the possibility that diplomacy might fail. Sujin closed the connection and began working on the most important diplomatic presentation in human history. Tomorrow, the galaxy would learn that their newest member species possessed military capabilities that terrified experienced warriors. How they reacted would determine whether humanity's future among the stars would be peaceful cooperation or something much more dangerous. The council chamber felt different today. The emergency session atmosphere had been replaced by something heavier, more dangerous. Council members spoke in whispers while security officers checked their equipment twice. Everyone knew that important decisions were about to be made. Kang Daeho sat in his usual place in the observer section, but today he felt the weight of every eye that glanced his way. His diplomatic uniform looked the same as always, neat and simple with the small Earth Cultural Attaché badge. Nothing about his appearance suggested he was about to change galactic politics forever. Council leader Vextar called the session to order, his crystalline features reflecting the chamber's lights. Today we will finalize our response to the unknown warrior situation. Military reconnaissance teams are prepared to launch within 6 hours. Diplomatic contact protocols have been established. We must decide how to proceed. General Kethvar stood first, his red skin bright with determination. My scouts are ready to begin operations in the affected sectors. We will locate their base of operations and assess their military strength before they can threaten core galactic territories. Admiral Morden's water tank bubbled as he spoke. My deep space monitoring networks have detected no further activity in the past 24 hours. Either the warriors have ceased operations or they have become aware of our surveillance. Hive Queen Zephyra clicked her mandibles thoughtfully. My analysis suggests they are observing us as we observe them. Warriors with their capabilities would certainly detect our intelligence-gathering efforts. Dr. Yil-Ona's energy form pulsed with scientific excitement. I have prepared specialized equipment for examining any biological samples or technology we recover. Understanding their physiology remains crucial for assessing long-term threat levels. Deho raised his hand quietly. The gesture was so subtle that several council members almost missed it. Council leader Vextar noticed and looked surprised. The human observer had attended dozens of sessions without ever requesting to speak. Council leader Vextar, Deho said in careful diplomatic language. Earth's cultural attaché requests permission to address the assembly. Vextar's 6 arms moved as he consulted his protocols. Observer species rarely spoke during council sessions and never during emergency military discussions. However, diplomatic courtesy required allowing recognized representatives to address the council if they requested it formally. Permission granted, Vexatar replied with curiosity. Please share what information Earth wishes to contribute to our discussions. Deho stood slowly, his movements calm and controlled. Every conversation with Dr. Bei Su-jin had prepared him for this moment. Every word he spoke would be analyzed by dozens of species looking for signs of deception or threat. Honorable council members, Deho began, Earth possesses information that may be relevant to your current situation. We have detailed knowledge about the mysterious warriors shown in the intercepted footage. The chamber fell completely silent. Not even the background hum of electronic equipment could be heard. Council members leaned forward in their seats, suddenly focused entirely on the quiet human diplomat they had barely noticed for 6 months. General Kethvar's voice carried a hint of suspicion. What kind of information does Earth possess about these warriors? Deho had rehearsed this moment dozens of times with Earth's diplomatic team. Every phrase had been chosen carefully to control the revelation while maintaining credibility. The warriors in your footage are human, Deho announced simply. The silence that followed was absolute. Council members stared at him with expressions ranging from confusion to disbelief. Several delegates activated their translation systems, certain they had misunderstood the human's words. Council leader Vextar spoke first, his crystalline voice uncertain. Cultural attaché Deho, please clarify your statement. Are you saying that humans know these warriors, or that humans are somehow related to them? Deho met Vextar's gaze directly. I am saying that the warriors in your combat footage are human soldiers. Earth's military forces have been conducting defensive operations in the disputed sectors to protect human civilian settlements from pirate attacks. The explosion of voices that followed nearly drowned out the chamber's sound systems. Council members shouted questions in a dozen different languages while their translation systems struggled to keep up. Security officers moved closer to their delegates, unsure whether this was a diplomatic revelation or a security threat. General Kethvar's voice cut through the chaos. Impossible! We have studied human capabilities during your species integration process. You are a peaceful agrarian civilization with basic technology and no military experience. Deho remained calm, knowing that this reaction had been expected. Earth chose to emphasize our cultural and peaceful achievements during first contact. We did not wish to destabilize galactic politics by revealing our military capabilities. Hive Queen Zephra's compound eyes focused on Deho with new intensity. You are claiming that the warriors who eliminated entire pirate fleets are normal humans using standard human equipment. Yes, Deho replied simply. The soldiers in your footage are members of Earth's Void Rangers, conducting routine anti-piracy operations to protect civilian settlements. Admiral Mordun's gills fluttered rapidly. Routine operations? Those warriors displayed physical capabilities beyond anything in our military databases. Deho had prepared for this question with help from Earth's technical advisors. Human, soldiers wear powered combat suits that enhance strength and provide protection. What you interpreted as superhuman abilities are normal human performance assisted by standard military equipment. Dr. Yil'ona's energy form brightened with scientific fascination. The weapons that produced unknown energy signatures? Human designs built by human engineers, Deho explained. Earth developed our technology independently, without access to galactic science. Our solutions may appear unusual because we approach the same problems from different directions. Counselor Threshmock raised one of his thin arms. Why did Earth conceal the existence of military settlements in the disputed sectors? This was the most dangerous question, the one that could brand humanity as deceptive and potentially hostile. Daeho drew on months of diplomatic training and psychological preparation. Earth established defensive settlements to protect human civilians who wished to live in frontier regions, Daeho explained. We intended to announce these colonies during formal territorial negotiations. However, when pirates began attacking our settlements, our military forces responded to protect innocent lives. General Kethvar stood up abruptly. You allowed the Council to believe humans were defenseless, while secretly deploying military forces across 3 sectors? Daeho met the general's aggressive stare without flinching. Earth revealed our defensive capabilities when civilian lives were threatened. Every engagement shown in your footage was in response to unprovoked attacks on non-military targets. Council leader Vextar called for order as discussions threatened to become arguments. Cultural attaché Daeho. This revelation raises serious questions about human intentions and galactic security. Daeho nodded respectfully. I understand the Council's concerns. However, I would ask you to examine the footage more carefully. In every engagement, human forces went to extraordinary lengths to minimize casualties and protect enemy personnel who surrendered. Dr. Yelona accessed her analysis files. This is accurate. The warriors showed remarkable restraint and provided medical assistance to wounded enemies. Admiral Morden reviewed tactical summaries on his display. The humans could have destroyed the pirate vessels completely, but instead they disabled weapons and secured prisoners. Hive Queen Zephyra clicked thoughtfully. Such behavior is unusual in galactic warfare. Most species eliminate threats completely rather than risk future encounters. Daeho seized the opportunity to reinforce Earth's peaceful intentions. Human military doctrine emphasizes protection of non-combatants and humane treatment of prisoners. We fight only when necessary to defend innocent lives. General Kethvar remained skeptical. Military doctrine can be changed. Capabilities cannot. If humans can eliminate pirate fleets this easily, what prevents them from threatening established, galactic civilizations? The question hung in the air like a sword. This was the moment that would determine whether humanity was accepted as a valuable ally or classified as a dangerous threat requiring containment. Daeho stood straighter, drawing on not only his diplomatic training but his military experience. General Kethvar, in every battle shown in your footage, human forces could have chosen total destruction. Instead, they chose restraint, mercy, and justice. Perhaps the question is not whether humans are too dangerous to trust, but whether the galaxy can afford not to have them as allies. The chamber fell silent again, but this time the silence felt different. Council members looked at each other with new understanding. The mysterious super warriors who had terrified galactic military analysts were the same species that had spent 6 months quietly learning about galactic culture and offering peaceful cooperation. Council leader Vextar's crystalline features reflected the chamber lights as he considered the implications.